It's that time again. Time for some real talk about real issues to enhance your real life. Whatever you think, whatever you know, whatever you feel, Tanya doesn't mind talking about it. Get ready for some real talk that is always rated R, because Talk with Tanya has got to be relevant. Talk with Tanya has got to be refreshing. But most importantly, Talk with Tanya has got to be real. Tune in right now for Real Talk with Tanya White.
Hello, welcome once again to the Real Talk with Tanya White show. Thank you to my loyal listeners for always listening and sharing and giving us feedback. Continue to do that. We want to say thank you to our October sponsors. First of all, my cousin Ivan English, salesman of the year to me. He's salesman of the year to me. At Hyundai of Louisville, if you need a car and you want somebody who will advocate for you to get you what you want, I just went in there. I said, Ivan, make it work. This is what I want. And he did it, but I'm his cousin. But if you need a car and someone who knows not to haggle you and get you, go to my cousin, Ivan English. Tell him T sent you. That's what they know me by. And you might get some extra perks. All right. Hyundai of Louisville on Dixie Highway. Thank you, Ivan, for being our October sponsor. And also to the Wise Men Mentoring Group of Louisville. Thank you so much for all the work that you do in the community of Louisville and Southern Indiana. If you need some volunteers, men who help with your events, who mentor young people, reach out to the Wise Men. Nicholas Burkhead, Fonz Brown, and all the other gentlemen of the Wise Men. They are helping my school, the Excel Center Clarksville Adult High School, with having our first adult prom. Thank you, Wise Men. They have donated food. They have donated their time. They are wonderful. They're Wise Men. Reach out to them. Thank you for being a sponsor of the Real Talk with Tanya White show. If you want to be a sponsor of the show for just $99, we will gladly accept you. Email us at realtalkwithtanyawhite@gmail.com. You know, Tanya is spelled Tanya. White is in the color, at gmail.com. We will get your message, your product, your service out, and we will be a partner in marketing and bringing you, expanding your awareness. All right. Now, you know, October, our theme is outstanding. We're just being outstanding this October. I wish I could sing it like Uncle Charlie, but I can't. Go listen to it on YouTube by the Gap Band. That's what we're doing. Outstanding. We're going to knock you out with our guests. We have knocked you out, and today is no different. We have the Brian JT Watts, EDS. I got to say it all because, honey, we work hard for that EDS. And you don't know what that means. It means education specialist. And we're going to talk education today. Yes, you know, education is my passion. I'm in my 25th year. Yes, 25th year of education. And so I'm passionate about it. And I love talking to men who are in the field, especially Black men, because they are few and far in between. So welcome. This is his first time, y'all. Welcome to the show, Brian JT Watts, EDS. Yay!
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm definitely pleased to be here. I have a lot of friends from Louisville, so it's good to be in the house with somebody from Louisville. I love Louisville, Kentucky. So anything from Louisville.
You said right. Louisville.
Well, I'm from the Bronx, so we don't always say everything correctly, but we just like to know what we're talking about. But yeah, but Louisville, that's my spot. So yeah, I'm definitely.
Well, now we got to connect Brian JT Watts, EDS. Okay. Now tell us, before we dive into this ever-ending, passionate conversation about education, tell us where you're from and how did you get into education?
Wow. Well, I'm originally from the South Bronx, New York. I currently reside in Maryland, right on the border of DC. I got into education unwillingly. I had great teachers all my life, and I was in a medical program in high school, and it seems that our teachers were so great that even though the medical program fell apart, a great majority of us are teachers now. I went to college and I had sleep apnea, and I, in college, had a lot of problems with that. So it slowed me down in college. Before that, I was an honor student, so it slowed me down. I had to go through a lot to get out of college, and I went straight to grad school, and I was kind of burnt out. So I had a degree in mathematics, and I said, forget this. I'm burnt out. I'm going to go home to New York. And a guy called me and said, hey, I'm the principal at this private school. He said, he was a friend of the family. He said, I want you to come teach math at my school. And I said, definitely not. And he was like, why not? I said, I don't want to teach. I don't want to do that. He said, well, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. I'll find a job. I'm not worried about it. And he said, well, I talked to your mom. You know, she said you'd be good for it. I said, well, hire my mom, because I'm not doing that. There's no way I'm doing that. And so I've been tutoring math all this time, you know, helping my friends and things like that. And I was pretty good at it, but I definitely didn't want to be a teacher because, I mean, I knew that teachers didn't get paid much, and I knew that, you know, behavior could be a problem and all of that. And he was at a church school, which meant I was going to get paid even less. And I said to him, I made the most arrogant deal I ever made. I said, if I don't find another job, I'll come, I'll do it. And he said, okay. And he told me he'd be praying against me. And I was like, wow, okay, that's insane. So I go home, and all of a sudden, the first time I couldn't find a job. And signed up with different organizations. And every time they found me a job, it was paying less than this low-paying job this man was offering me. And so I took it, and I went there, and I was the math. I wasn't just the math teacher. I was the math department. They had no teacher's editions for the books. And so I was teaching, well, it was sequential 1, 2, and 3, which would be algebra, geometry, and algebra 2, and pre-cal with no teacher's editions. But I was good at it, so I did it. And I taught for 1 year, and I quit. And I went and found another job, and the job was terrible. This guy asked me to tutor him one night, and I tutored him. I told him I only had an hour, and I ended up tutoring him for 3 hours because teaching again got so exciting to me that night that I couldn't stop. And he was just sitting there looking at me like, you know, you're really great. And I was like, I know what this means, man. I gotta go. And the next day, the new principal, because the principal left when I left, the new principal, who also knew me, called me and said, hey, I need you to come back. I want you to teach summer school. He asked me how much money I wanted for summer school. I gave him an amount I thought was way too much. And he said, you got it. And we've raised the salary now. And I went back, and I've been teaching ever since.
Brian, first of all, hilariously true. Because teaching is a calling. Look, I did the same thing. I wanted to be a human resource trainer in corporate America. I was just taking this little teaching sub thing to pay the bills because I was in master's program for corporate training and development.
Right.
And what I get from you is when God wants you in the industry, he gonna send people. I love what the principal said. I'm gonna pray against you. That's for real.
He did, and he did. It worked. I didn't know that it would work. I thought that was foolish, but it worked. Yeah, no doubt. It
is. Well, we're glad because we're gonna get to the EDS part, but similar stories. I started as a substitute. I had a background. I was a Catholic school girl all my life, first through. So you could understand the shock when I showed up at one of the toughest schools in Louisville, Kentucky. I was just like Morgan Freeman was on Lean on Me.
I've been there.
And a 3-week assignment turned into 25 years because that principal, I left the 3 week and I said, well, let me know if y'all need me again. And the secretary said, are you serious? I said, yeah. She said, you'll come back? I said, yeah. Them 3 weeks I had to pull out my Catholic school training. I had no training, but in my parents' upbringing, she's like, wait right there. She went back and got the principal. Principal said, I need you to come in my office. I'm like, Lord, have mercy, what I do? He's like, so you told Miss Pat that you'll come back? I said, yeah. He's like, okay, so what I need you, I want to hire you as the building sub since you'll come back.
Wow.
Then that turn, he's like, the new principal after he left said, Miss White, I need you to go get your teaching license because I need to hire you for our special ed department.
Wow.
You can get scholarships and Call the district, but I need you to do that. Go and get your emergency certification. So we got similar stories because I was like, no, I'm going to be a corporate trainer, wear my cute suits, train, and make some money. The Lord said, okay, little girl.
Listen,
okay, little girl.
It's a problem. The problem comes when you're good at it and you have a heart for it. Those two things sort of beat you down to the point where you can't deny yourself what you're doing. I mean, you know, I'm not one who can fool myself. The talent was there, and then the desire for kids to do good was there, and I wanted to fight it, but I wanted them to do good. And every time I left to do something else, even when I became an administrator, people were like, you know, we really need you in the classroom. I'm like, come on, dude. Are you serious? And, you know, I mean, I just knew how to get through with teaching math. And so, you know, a lot of people think math is hard, and it's not. You just need somebody with communication skills that to tie with the math skills. And a lot of kids can get through it. So it just kept happening, and, you know, it's what it is. So sooner or later, one day I will give it up, but, you know.
Okay, give it up. God's just gonna get you. He probably already has you teaching teachers and administrators. We're gonna get.
I have done a little bit of that. I've dabbled. I'm a consultant. I do consulting work. I do training. I've done training for HMH, and I've done. You know, I've written a book. I've done consulting. I do PDs and things like that. So yeah, I love that. I love that. Yeah, I love that stuff, and so that's fun, and that's a lot more lucrative. But yeah, you know, it's good to be well-rounded if you're in education, because everything goes, you know, things go up and down, and if you have a 360 view of what you can do in it, then you can really keep yourself grounded, and you can keep yourself from getting extremely upset about the way things go, because you see things from a different vantage point.
I love that. Let's go on with this 360 view, because one of my leadership gurus I follow is John Maxwell. He talks about the 360 leader, which he got from Bill Hybels of Courageous Leadership. The 360 view, explain what you mean.
Well, what I mean is I've been everything in education except for a parent. I'm not a parent. So I've been a teacher, I've been a student, I've been a consultant, I've been an administrator. So when I'm with other teachers, things come down from the top and everybody gets upset about what's going on. I'm usually not that upset. I mean, you know, I try to find ways to tell them, hey, this is just what needs to be done, or this is happening because of this, because I've been in that place. I know what kind of things are happening. When testing becomes the number one thing that's going on, then I know it's because of funds and funding, and it's not about the kids. It's what it is. I've been a consultant. I know that people are coming and selling certain things to the schools, and if the district buys this, then this is what they have to push, because this is what they spent their money on. You know, so it's not. I'm not one who's upset. I mean, I might be disappointed. I might not like the way things are going, but I have a view of what's going on because I've been there. And so I can talk to parents in a way that maybe some other people might not understand. When it comes to my experience as an administrator, when I talk to parents while I'm in the classroom, I mean, I can tell them, listen, your child is going to end up being in trouble because of this. And, you know, I can go a little further than some teachers who haven't been administrative. It was kind of hard for me when I stepped back down to stop telling people, you know, your child's going to be suspended or whatever. But they're like, okay, I can't do that. But they are, you know, so it was hard, but it's like I have a wealth of experience that some teachers don't have. And there are other teachers in buildings that have that. And you'll notice they're the calmer teachers. They're the ones who are taking things in stride. They're the ones who are kind of relaxed because they understand what's going on. And we see it from a different vantage point. So when we get up to speak and to do professional development or to do things like that, it's usually not those ones where you want to go to sleep. It's usually something that you're going to be interested in because We have stories, we have life experience. We're going to put things into that that's going to make this come alive because we've been there. It's not just some theory that we've picked up along the way that we want to give to you. It's our life. And then you're going to understand how things go, and we're going to give you real life experiences about how you need to implement.
Love it. Love it. Awesome. Now I want to get into the topic of males in education. It's particularly Black males. It's it's reality that some students will never experience a male teacher, maybe until they get to high school, some in middle school. And so, especially with our society today, with single parent homes, no male voices in the home, why is it so important for men, particularly Black men, to consider pursuing a career in education that will help impact and elevate the system?
Well, I think it's important for the male and for the student, because I was a high school teacher for a long time. I had taught middle school for 1 year, but recently, actually, this is my 3rd year being back in middle school. I went back to 8th grade, and middle school is the most challenging of them all. But yeah, I'm just going to leave that. Middle school is the most challenging of them all. But I stepped back down, and when I got there weren't many male teachers there at all. And I'm the 8th grade math teacher, so I noticed that there were a lot of young men who had serious issues with me the first year. And I mean serious issues, like just hitting back on everything. And I knew what it was. And even some of the mothers said, hey, well, he's mad at his dad. His dad is incarcerated, or his dad left him and he didn't come back and he doesn't know where he is, or this, that, and other. And then he's striking out at you because he's used to having female teachers. And I'm like, okay. So, I couldn't have the kind of talk I might have wanted to have with some of these kids because, one, they were younger than I'm used to dealing with, and two, just wasn't my role to have that kind of talk with them. But I did explain to a lot of them, you don't have a problem with me, and when they started to understand what male authority was and that they themselves were a male, I'm like, if you have a problem with me, then you have a problem with you. Mm-hmm. And you have a problem with your authority. So if you're going to usurp mine, that means you don't want people to listen to you. And they started to realize, wow, I'm fighting a losing battle here. I'm hurting myself. And so, by the middle of the year, end of the year, it was a lot different. And even just this last few weeks, I had students coming back and saying, oh, thank you for pushing me and making me do what you made me do, because in high school, they did make me do what you needed. It was exactly like you said. I needed this. I needed that. I needed to act this way. I needed to get this math together. I needed to do this. I needed to study. I needed to stop acting crazy. And so a lot of them need to see that, because they are getting coddled, not by every female teacher. All female teachers don't coddle, but they're getting coddled by a lot of teachers, especially if they've been around for a long time in a school system where they've been in maybe pre-K all the way to 8th grade, and they've been there for a while. These, teachers fall in love with them. They're oh, that's my little boy. That's just, and it's cool. But sometimes they need somebody to be just a male figure so that they understand how to talk to them, how to be a man. And I don't know what everybody's definition of a man is, because I know a lot of men that are different, that are all men. But you still need to see it so you can choose what kind of man you're going to be, and understand that is a little different than being a woman, And so if you're going to see somebody who's respecting women and who's doing their thing and who's taking control of his life and being on the straight and narrow, not out here doing the things that you might have seen done to you in your life by maybe an absent father or an abusive father or a father that's incarcerated. Not to say that these are bad guys inside, but they've made some mistakes. If you can see a guy who hasn't done that, then maybe you can start to put your goals in a place that's a little loftier than where they might be, with what you've seen, because you're in a bubble. And we want you, to me, education is that pin that pops bubbles. So I want to educate you to the point where you can get out of that bubble and see, okay, I don't have to live like this. I can get out. I can do more. And so I'm an international teacher. I've taught internationally. I've traveled. And so when they talk to me, they start to realize, oh, wait, this guy is not just a guy in the classroom. You know, he has done some other stuff. So now they feel like, okay, talking to Mr. Watts might actually be worth it. So, you know, with our other males, I see a lot of young guys coming in now. My school has hired a lot of other guys. It's getting to be something where they're starting to see guys around, and even the young ladies are getting a lot out of it because they're getting to talk to men and seeing how they should relate. It's not something that should be a problem. There are appropriate ways for you to talk to men. There are things that you should learn. So I think it's a great thing. If that's something that they choose to do, I would definitely say, hey, get down there in the elementary and in the middle schools and start to shape these kids. By the time you get in high school, it might be too late to shape that personality or whatever, but middle school and elementary school is where they definitely need to see it.
Oh, that's so true. That is why, as a school director, I'm very intentional about recruiting and retaining male instructors, male staff. I'm a school director at an adult second chance high school, so they've dropped out and come back to get their high school diploma. So they got to go to classes. They're dealing with trauma from the past. We do have some 16-year-old, the pandemic babies who are not being successful in the traditional model. So that male authority is what, when it's foreign and you don't have the social emotional skills, you don't know how to engage. And so they fight, they argue, and so they're lashing out on something that is foreign to them. And so when you take the time to teach and have that relationship and say, hey, I am teaching you not just the content, but how to survive in life outside of these walls.
Okay.
That's where the impact comes. I want to go back to one point that you made about female teachers sometimes coddle. Okay. I see that as a director. I'm very much, I'm not a coddler. Okay. I'm an encourager and empower.
You didn't come across as one either, that believe me. You didn't. Already, in the 22 minutes we've been here, you didn't come across as a coddler.
I am my daddy's child, and my daddy, I'm a daddy's girl. So the male authority and the male voice is what I grew up with. I'm mama's my femininity is mama, but when it comes to that authority and being empowered in life, that male voice and that go-getter is what I teach and empower people to do. Because my daddy always said, I have to teach you for when I'm not here. I didn't know he was succession planning. Okay. But we have to teach students, particularly, how to succeed and live life without who we are. So the relationship is important. Where does relationship building and coddling come in? Because sometimes, I'm just building relationships. I'm having this issue right now, but it's really coddling. Tell me.
It's really bad now because being the age that I am, I think I'm the oldest male teacher in my building. And when you get to the age where you're older than the administrators, which I am, that's when you start realizing that things are going differently than how they used to go when you were, younger. I started out being the very youngest person in the building, my first job. And so it's a big difference. And a lot of the coddling now is being encouraged. And that's what they're calling relationship. That's relationship, buying kids things and this, that, and the other. And, you had this behavior, but it's okay. And we're trying to find out why you had this behavior. And so you're not really having a problem with the behavior. You're just trying to figure it out. And I'm all for trying to find out what was behind it, but it's just like being if you get caught by the law,
Mhm.
they want to know. They might want to know why you did what you did, but you still
Maybe.
have to pay for what you did. Maybe, right? But you still have to pay for what you did. And I think that coddling is when you take away consequences,
Mm.
or when you supply mercy and grace to a situation where mercy and grace are no longer appreciated.
Mm.
Because mercy and grace should be something that somebody's like, oh my gosh, thank you. And when somebody's not like that anymore, then they don't need any more mercy or grace. So I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot that kids are starting to realize. Oh, I can do what I want, and that's when you know that there's been too much coddling. So to me, that's just what it is, and that's my opinion. I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of people, maybe my age and around my age and older, would agree with me. There's some people who don't, and there's some younger people who agree with me as well. But I think that in a life where we dealt with consequences, and it didn't give me trauma. It kept me from trauma.
Mhm.
It made me who I am. It made me be somebody who looks at the law and says, okay, this is what's right. Let me do this. I remember my dad saying to me when I was younger, and it's probably the one thing that stuck with me the most that came out of his mouth. He said, you cannot do wrong. You're going to get caught all the time. It's not because you're dumb or anything. You're just that guy. It's going to happen to you. So you need to be good. And that's what I tried to do my whole life, because I noticed whenever I did something wrong, everybody else could do it and I would get caught. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to stop doing it. I see the consequences quickly. I don't like them. So let me leave that alone. And consequences kept me in line. And so, consequences, that's what they're for. Natural consequences and imposed consequences. But, so to me, that's what coddling is. You're treating them like a baby, and a baby gets away with things because the baby doesn't know what they're doing. But a child this age, they should know what they're doing.
Absolutely wonderful. I'm going to have to replay this at a staff meeting. Yeah, because I used my background is special education. Okay. When I got into it, I did see a lot of, and I love what you said, is being encouraged, because coddling does not prepare you for the real world, give you increase your independence, and help you understand that there are natural and imposed consequences. So that's one thing that I saw in special ed. And I came at a time where it was just, there was no guidelines. They were just shoving African-American boys and then African-American girls in there because they didn't teach them the skills that they needed to. This is early 2000. So society was changing. More female ran homes, more fathers incarcerated or murdered. I was in the area where they were murdered. And it was so, we didn't deal with the why, because we was so focused on the academic outcomes. And so we didn't mesh in public school education. And that's where my Catholic school education came, because we deal with the whole person. And public school was not trying to deal with the whole person. But I know I used to say to my students with IEPs and 504s, that's only works in this building.
Right. That's right.
And I love what you said. If the law tells you to stop, you better stop.
That's right. You better get it.
If you don't, and at that time, honey, it was heavy. They're gonna take you to the ground, and they're gonna have an excuse.
Yeah, and you out there? You in Jefferson County?
Jefferson County.
They're not playing out there either. They're not playing.
Listen. I said, if you do not obey was, back then I had spelling tests weekly. OBEY, obey was to do what one is told to do. And that was in middle school. And they kept saying, Miss White, why we always got this on our spelling test? You're going to keep getting it until you obey to do what one is told to do. Okay?
Right.
Because in the real world, even when you do what one is told to do,
Right. You still might have a problem, right?
You still might have a problem. And it's the way you respond to the problem on how it's going to come out good or bad. So coddling is I love what you said, it's being encouraged. and it's taking away consequences. We cannot take away the consequences because there are going to be consequences, especially at certain ages. You're not a baby. You know exactly what you're doing. Yeah. You know the why. I understand, the hurt, but you're going to have to learn how to deal with it.
That's
my
right.
brother, my sister. That's why I was saying my brother, my sister, especially my African-American students. Let me tell you something. I deal with the same isms that you deal with. Okay. Don't let this suit, this makeup fool you. And I tell them, if I was to talk to my boss the way you talking to my teachers who are your boss,
right,
you would be what? Fired. Yeah. That's
right.
what's about to happen. And your fire's going to come in.
That's right.
Business.
That's right.
So I love that. How can, and I tell Brian, you're going to have to come back because I can see right now we got lots to talk about.
Hey, listen, I'm ready anytime. So it's all good. Just let me know.
So as we close, what are 3 things that teachers, and I'm talking about African-American teachers, which we are the minority in education, but we are the majority when it comes to helping and supporting the at-risk students. Okay?
Oh, definitely.
It's a whole nother podcast. Talk to us, African-American teachers and administrators. What are 3 things that need to take place to help prepare our students to be productive citizens, not get those test scores up, but be productive citizens to encourage the next generation of students?
Wow. Well, truthfully, in order for us to do that, that's a bigger task than it sounds in the ask, because we have, I think, systematically been put in a position where that's almost impossible with what we have now. Our students have been romanced by technology. They've been romanced by easy money, and they've been romanced by a lack of knowledge and just a lack of success from academia. So it's hard to show them the direct correlation between academics and success. That was not the case for us. For us, that was the exact way that you do it. There were a few people who did it another way, but they were very few. So we need to first find a way to instill pride again in our community. That's been taken away because a lot of our students believe that ghetto is what African American is and what Black is, and you can't separate those two to them. That's what Black people do to them. That's ghetto, food stamps and low living and all of this stuff, and they don't realize that the majority of poor people in America are not Black, and they don't understand that. So they think that this is us. So that's an education that needs to be given, and to be shown that we are much more than our situations in certain neighborhoods. To also express to them that not only is there pride, but there's a history, and there's much more to our history and our lineage than just what they've seen here in America. And so, to me, that would sort of help to instill a desire to rise back to a level of prominence. Not necessarily dominance, but prominence where it's like, okay, I can be better than this situation I'm in. I mean, I grew up in the projects of the South Bronx, and there was nothing more important than me getting out of the projects. That was just in my mind. It wasn't something my parents put in my mind or anything. It was just, I got to get out of here. And I didn't feel like I was better than anybody there. I just knew I didn't want to stay there. I didn't feel like it was something that I wanted. I saw other things and I wanted those other things. And I did. Even when I went to college and I saw that as an escape, I stayed where I went to school and changed my, my address and everything and stayed out there until I could do something else because I just did not want to go back to that life. And I knew that there were traps there, that there were people people told me it was hard to get out because you can't save. The more money you save, if you start working harder, they charge you more. You get charged by so, those are things that we need to start explaining. Start showing kids what the game is. We build the game. When they start to see the game and how we're being played, then they might start to see, oh wait, this is a problem. We need to get our kids out of these bubbles where they're just living in a place where they only see other Black kids and they only see other poor kids, and they're not seeing what other kids are getting, what other kids are getting for free. When you see the inequities that are happening in school systems and people are going to school, same public schools, but in different neighborhoods and getting something different, then they'll start to realize, oh, wait, there's something wrong here. And they'll start to understand that this is something you need to fight against. But as long as they stay where they are and don't see anybody else, they think this is what life is and this is how it's supposed to be. And I'm just going to live this way. So we have to expose them. And we'll be teaching them. It won't be the kind of teaching that we might want to do, but it'll be just exposing them to the truth and letting them see what it is. And then they'll be able to make choices and say, hey, I don't want this. I see this is unfair. Because unfair is something that kids know. If they don't know anything else, they definitely know when something is unfair. And so when you start to let them see, then I think they'll seek to see, how can I make this fair? How can I get what I'm supposed to have? And then we can start to build them up to where they need to be.
Awesome. Listen, yeah, it's right there on the screen. Visit him at IamBrianWatts.com. Before we close and wrap up, share your information, what's upcoming for you, your book, all that. This has been wonderful. He will be back. Real talk. He will be back.
Well, my first book, the only book that's out right now is this, How to Help Your Children Help Themselves. It was a manual for parents of students grade 1 to 12, just to help parents to get their kids through elementary, middle, and high school. I just finished an update, so that will be out, the 2025 version. This was done in 2020. So since COVID happened and everything, there's a lot that has changed. So we did some updates, and I became a certified SEL speaker, and trainer. So I have a lot more of that in there. I'm doing PDs on social emotional learning. That's on my website as well. I'm also an online math tutor on my site. So if people want to get ready for the SAT, the ACT, or any math from 6th grade all the way to college algebra, which, yes, includes calculus and pre-calculus and all of that. So I do that as well. So all of that is on the site. And, just get on and let me know what you want to do. If you need me to come to your school to speak, I'm glad to do so. And, or to be on your podcast.
That's right.
That is good.
We shall be a staple on Real Talk, because I love talking education and I love talking inequities. Ergo, my book. Can y'all see that? Y'all know I got the book Professionally Lynched. Let me tell y'all something.
Wow.
We ain't even got to the systematic injustices that education brings, especially for African American teachers, administrators. This is what I live, because they invite you to the table, Brian, but they won't welcome you there, especially when you make it too much of an impact.
That's
then
right.
The targets come. We're gonna talk about that. Listen, it has been a wonderful, refreshing. You have met the real, relevant, and refreshing rated R stamp of approval.
Okay? Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Listen, you guys, listen to this, especially get his book. I think that I'm gonna give that to some of my parents who have students, and I'll talk to you about that. Because one of the things that, especially when you're trying to finish your high school diploma and you're got children, some of the same traumas that you experienced at their age, you displace. But if they had a guide on how to deal with it, that would be great. So, and the SEL, I'm gonna talk to you offline, because I might need to hire you for a distance learning teacher. SEL for our elective class. We do have an SEL class.
Okay.
you guys, this has been brilliant. And you didn't even say what you do with Hustle Hard that outside of teaching. And I know a lot of people don't get into teaching because they say teaching don't pay. Maybe the base job doesn't pay, but we can create streams of incomes based on.
And there's great networking in the school. There's great networking in the school. So yeah, and after a while, it can pay. You just
it does. Because I taught for my early years. I taught every extra service
after
summer school, because summer school is really only 3 weeks.
Right.
And getting that extra check. Everybody hire you to be a tutor. Yep. Consultant. Yep. That's how I did it. So tell us about your outside teaching endeavors.
Well, I am almost finished being an aspiring voiceover actor. So I'm just about done with my demo. This is the great month of October, which is when my birthday lies. So I'm happy to be on during this great month. My favorite birthday? October 28th. So I'm a big fan of October, and it's my favorite season, fall. So, but yes, I'm doing a lot with that, and I'm a writer. So I like to write. I'm the male of the executive body of Hustle Her magazine. I'm the sole male in there, and I'm the one who brings the male point of view. And I thought it was important to have. Chanel asked me to be in the magazine, and at first I was like, it's a women's magazine. And she was always doing stuff for women. She kept saying she was going to put me on something. And I was like, no, you're not, because you always want to do women's stuff. But then she was like, no, I want you to be a part of this. And I was like, okay, cool. And it's really been good because I think that if you're teaching women, that at some point you need to hear something from a man and vice versa. And so, but men, we've been hearing from women our whole lives. All of our teachers basically were women and this and that. So we've got that part, but I don't think a lot of women hear from men, and especially in this day and age, for some reason, someone has put a little problem between black men and black women, and I think it's a plan. I don't really think that we started it, but it's growing, and somehow we're fighting each other. So I think we need to get back together. So my part in the magazine, I write about Black unity, and that's what we'll be exposing in every article. Is how to be more unified and how to stay together so we can move forward, because we're not going to move forward apart.
We're not going to move forward apart. Coming from a daddy's girl, what makes me such a bad mama jamma now is because I had the male voice. My daddy in the home, married to my mama, in his male role. And no, he didn't come from a 2-parent home. He didn't even know who his daddy was. But when he got married and got up, he did like you. He left Hopkinsville, Kentucky, went to K-State on football scholarship and education way. And then he resided in Louisville until when he passed. But we do need the male voice. Females need that male voice of protection, of provision, and of possibility. And that's what my daddy gave me. And then my mama gave him the female voice that he never had. That's right. And they created a family of 3 wonderful seeds. And of course, y'all know that we just lost our sister, me and my brother. And so we're 2 of us now. But the legacy lives. And it's because we had both the male and the female voice. So I commend you for that. Continue to hustle her. Real talk, it's been real. Sorry for the tech difficulties. StreamYard is becoming like Zoom, I think. Everybody knows it. But we're gonna figure it out. But you can hear us, but it may be some glitches in the video, and that's okay. But you can hear us. Until next time, you guys, remember, like I always say, love your life, live your life, laugh through your life. Until the next episode. Bye-bye.
All right.